This is Required Watching, where we watch the essential films from lists of cinematic influencers and look at them through the lens of learning about filmmaking and how to move forward. I'm your host, Trey Epps, and this movie was directed by Ben Affleck and written by Alex Convery. This was starring Matt Damon, Jason Bateman, Ben Affleck, Chris Messina, Chris Tucker, Viola Davis, Marlon Wayans. This movie follows the history of the shoe salesman Sonny Vaccaro and how he led Nike in the pursuit of the greatest athlete in the history of basketball, Michael Jordan. This is Air.
You ask me what I do here. This is what I do. I find you players, and I feel it this time. Yeah, okay, it's risky. When you were selling sneakers out of the back of your Plymouth, that was risky. Don't change that now.
For a rookie?
Yes.
Who's never set foot on an NBA court.
That's the literal definition of rookie, yeah.
What's the plan?
We build a shoe line around just him. I need the greatest basketball shoe that's ever been made.
Who's the player?
Michael Jordan.
All right, so here's the thing. I wanted to watch this film, Air, because I actually read the script. It was on the Blacklist, I believe, in the last couple of years. The Blacklist is a very famous list of popular unproduced scripts in the industry, and this was on it, and I read it, and I thought it was a super interesting read. I personally love biographies. I love biopics. I love memoirs. I love knowing about people's lives. Having read Phil Knight's book a few years ago, Nike has kind of always been on my mind. So it interested me in having this film tell the story of how we got Jordans. It's something that's quote unquote the culture, period. Like it's like sneaker culture is a thing because of Jordans, period. And it started so much, and I feel like it was important to understand, like, kind of understand and see how the story would be told. And I think I'm sure this will be taken down almost immediately. But if you like to read the script for Air, I've got a link, so check it out and tell me what you think. But anyway, I heard someone say there's always a biopic about the marketing executives, like the most boring people in the world. That's me paraphrasing, but I think it's funny. I think marketing executives really don't get as much credit, and I know someone's going to say Mad Men, but marketing executives do not get nearly enough credit as they deserve, and yet when we make movies about them, they get shunned, and they should. Because listen, I may be under the impression I think everyone has an interesting story, maybe not so innately, but if we dramatize it a bit, there's something really truly there. And yeah, I was also curious just to see Matt Damon and Ben Affleck team up again. It's been a long time since Good Will Hunting, which is on the list, I think, for June or July. It's on the list. So we'll be seeing them again very, very shortly. But I thought it was really interesting to, I don't know, man. It's something about seeing those two together. Even when like Casey Affleck is in the mix, I think it's really interesting. Because I think it's something about them knowing each other for so long that kind of just reads on the screen. Even if they're playing adversaries, even if they're playing people who have conflict and tension in a particular scene, it always feels like there's some sort of comfort between the actors that allow them to kind of push each other in and make those choices. This is a very talky movie, so there's no big battles being won, but you get the idea. After I saw the movie, again, before I saw the movie, I kind of questioned what this movie was going to be like. I told friends who hadn't read the script that I just didn't understand why this was being made into a movie. I didn't understand what was going on. I think it made a really interesting read, but I don't know if I understood why it was becoming a movie. Because nothing happens, right? Like this movie is all talking. Nothing happens in this movie that is big action. Nothing happens in this movie that is anything more than people talking to other people to make a decision about this, make a decision about that. Someone disagrees. The next scene, we move on, and suddenly we're at the end. I think that's a really fair assessment of what happens. But after seeing it, the movie was actually really tense and played really, really well by the actors, which was always going to be the case. And I think that's just it. I think this was a film that was meant to be, that was always going to live or die on execution. And we all know those films where you're like, if something else changed, you know, if this actor wasn't here or something like that, this movie would be different. And I think that's the case. I think the direction was really, really good. Like it had to be fast paced. It had to carry this Aaron Sorkin intensity with the dialogue and urgency with what was going on, because otherwise it's Matt Damon, you know, having an existential crisis about his job, and then making a plan that people along the way say no to, and yeah, he wins. So all like slice of life stuff, but again, it's all about execution and 100% about the performances. I like to think that the Black excellence in this film is all over the place. Viola Davis, always a winner. Marlon Wayans and Chris Tucker did so well. And Marlon Wayans, I think, is only in like one or two scenes. But I don't think we give, you know, these two actors who are known for comedy a chance to really shine in drama. And yet I think they did a fantastic job. I think Chris Tucker in particular actually did a really, really, really good job of becoming, I forget the character's name, but becoming this character. He put on an accent, did all this stuff. And again, we don't see him like this. And I think it's worth noting and worth giving the guy his flowers for stretching and stretching from what we've seen anyway. And really, really put in beans for making this character work. But yeah, like Bateman and Damon and like all these guys are really, really good at their flustered white guyness. But it's always great to see these people. It's always great to see like the other side of it, which just happens to be the other characters who are Black, and really, really see them give something a bit different and a bit nuanced. And I do think it was, I think that's true. Again, by reading the script, I knew that we were never going to see Michael Jordan. It's been a hot topic since the release of the film, and I am fine with that. I'm fine with not seeing Michael Jordan, mainly because this is not Michael Jordan's story, and I think that's a shame. I think it's a shame from a writing point of view that we get a lot of talk about what's going to happen with these sneakers, and in the film we're even shown some things in the future. But I was really left wondering about, do we care about this history, or could there have been more? Could we have shifted the timeline or compressed this a bit more to show Michael Jordan getting fined? Should we, like, what happened when he was getting fined? I feel like that is a little bit more exciting, watching him play basketball, getting fined, he can't wear the shoes, seeing how people have taken the shoes and in line for these shoes, and even, you know, seeing how like the sneaker culture really, really got started. And maybe I think, and I know that that's a completely different story than what this was, but I think that's a more intriguing and more actionable story than what this was. Say for, you know, the budget of the film that I'm pitching is very, very different, but I think that it becomes a little bit more all-encompassing. And while Michael Jordan had very little to do with this film besides requesting Viola Davis to play his mom, listen, Michael Jordan's an actor, man. I would have taken de-aged Michael Jordan any day. But listen, am I completely wrong? Have you seen this film? Does what I'm saying make sense? And would you have liked to see a bit of a change and a shift in perspectives from these marketing executives to maybe something a bit more further down the line? But let's go into some fun facts. Like I said, Michael Jordan was not a part of this film really, but he kind of said that he wanted Viola Davis to be his mom, and that his only other request is that his friend Howard White be included in the film. And of course, Ben Affleck always wanted to work with Chris Tucker, so he cast him as White. And that was probably the only thing that I think is actually different from off the top of my head, different from the script and in the movie. One of the only things anyway. Peter Moore, who played Matthew Mahar, the original designer of the Air Jordan, the ball with the wings logo, and the famous silhouette of Michael Jordan, died in April 2022, just 3 weeks before filming began. He actually left Nike in 1987 to join rival Adidas, where he stayed until 1998, where he redesigned the Adidas logo to its current version. Viola Davis and Justin Tinian, who play Viola Davis and Julius Tenen, who play Michael Jordan's parents, are married in real life. There you go. Despite being antagonistic toward Sonny Vaccaro in the film, in reality, David Falk, played by Chris Messina, was the one who convinced Michael Jordan to accept the meeting with Nike. There's been much historical debate about who came up with the phrase Air Jordan name. The filmmakers decided to handle the matter as delicately as possible, portraying that David Falk and Peter Moore each came up with the name separately by sheer coincidence. And no one more. Let's see, scene stealers. Scene stealers of this movie are all of the black people. It's just not a joke. I think everyone put their foot in it in this film. Period. Not a joke, just true. Check out the film. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me. I'll wait. In terms of how we could have made this better, here is a joke. What if we get, at the end of the film, we get a shot of a little black kid getting Air Jordans for Christmas? You know, maybe they're the ones, maybe they're another variety, whatever it is. And as he opens it up, kind of like Pulp Fiction, the light shines in his face, right? Like maybe we don't even see the shoes, just the light in his face, and this little boy like, what's happening? Well, you know, oh man, these are the best things in my life. These are the shoes of my hero. That's what he's thinking. And then from off screen, you know, because it's gonna be a black mama for sure, gonna go, LeBron, get over here. And like, it's LeBron James. We learned that it's LeBron James. If that doesn't make the movie better, I don't know what does. Again, a complete joke. Anyways, is this required? Man, I'm gonna say maybe. No. Yes. I'm gonna say yes. Here's why. If you go again in the description and find the link of this script, and again, I feel like this may be illegal, so who knows if it's actually going to happen or not. But if you find the link of this script, you can read how this person who, you know, had one of the most popular unproduced scripts got all the people needed to be involved. Someone who has not written a thing before, according to IMDb, has gotten all the people involved to make this film, and just the different changes that happened between, you know, Ben Affleck's direction. I think it's really, really interesting to see where it started and where it ended. Truly, something that was, in all intents and purposes, a rough draft of something until where we got at the end of the film. I think it's very rare that you get to see that. I mean, yeah, you get to see it with really, really big Hollywood movies, but I do think this is technically a smaller movie. I don't know what the budget was or anything like that, but yeah, this guy just wrote a film. He didn't have people attached. I'm pretty sure he didn't have any, if many, connections. And that a couple of years later, he has a movie showing on in theaters and on streaming. So I think that should give you a bit of hope to know where things can go as a filmmaker, and hopefully that does. Anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Do me a big favor and subscribe and share this, because it's great. It's great doing this for you guys and doing it for me, and I want to keep doing it. So do those two things, and we can continue the party. Until next time, Required Watching is a film club. So peace.
Back to teenagers working at the Janus movie theater in Boston, Harvard Square.
Some research I see.
What did you guys know about like Jordans as statement pieces back then?
I mean, I remember when the Jordans came out. In fact, I was researching for the movie. I looked back at pictures of us. I saw a picture of my brother first year they came out.
Wow.
And so we were definitely like into shoes. I remember wearing the Adidas and how big that was in the shell toes, and then it became all about Nike and Jordans.
And I feel like Boston at the time was more Adidas than New Balance town. Is that fair to say?
Well, everything, like when that age, it was like Run DMC and all that. It was very, you know, like the fat laces.
Yeah, fashion strings.
Yeah.
Like
Pumas.
Of course.
Oh,
Breakdancing.
I had maroon Pumas with the gray.
Suede.
Fila.
Yes.
You know.
All the New
Classics.
York guys would come down and take all the girls down south where I'm from, Atlanta, because they had the fat shoestrings and then they knew how to break dance and they talk like this.
Yeah.
It's country. You country.
Puma Suede's Puma Classics.
was it.
Everyone was breakdancing in them.
That was the culture.
And then Chris, what was the Jordan boom like in Decatur when it hit?
If you can afford it,
Yeah.
you know, I had to work for my dad at a janitorial service. 2 weeks, I get $300, and I spend half of it on Jordans because it was about $100 back then. And you the man.
Yeah.
It was the man. You know, just make sure nobody step on them. You know.
Exactly.
That was the thing, like
2 years.
you go out and buy these shoes. I mean, I guess it's more like that now. And I remember kids getting white out. From, if you remember what that is.
Yeah,
It
of
used to be
course.
if you made a mistake with your pen, you get white out and putting it on their shoes. Like somebody scuffed your shoes,
Yeah.
you have to go home and white it out.
Absolutely.
And fight the person who
Yeah, oh yeah, it was on.